Hello viewers of The Pioneer, how are you doing? I hope you are healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring the Russia-Ukraine war to your screens. In a moment, we will discuss the latest developments on the front line with a map. We often state that the activity in some regions has been more active in recent days. The situation of the Russian army is critical. We see that the Ukrainian army has regained control over some positions captured by the Russian army during the attacks that have been going on for about 2 months. So what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's take a look at developments together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring the Russia-Ukraine war to your screens. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the videos. Let's start if you are ready, the Pioneer reports. Let's make a change today and start with the latest developments on the Luhansk front line. We note that there has been extraordinary activity here in recent days. Perhaps only in the early days of the war did the Luhansk front line become a major issue. It was not a front line that attracted so much attention during the Ukraine's counterattack. Therefore, in a way, troops of both armies did not get too tired here. In some cases, the troops here were even moved to the other parts of the front line. However, in recent days, violence has increased in the struggle between the two armies on the Luhansk front line. According to the latest reports on the Luhansk front line, there have been attempts by the Russian armed forces to advance towards Terny. So far, however, they have not made any significant gains. The Russian armed forces are located about 2 kilometers from this key settlement on the left bank of the Zherbets River, where the Ukrainian groups are feeding. The Ukrainian armed forces' defensive battle so far has been successful. If this can be maintained, the Ukrainian army's chances of long-term success will increase. On the other hand, fierce counter-battles are taking place near Brestovoy and Kharmonloy and Tabaivka. Russian troops continue their offensives near Sinkiivka, while units of the Ukrainian armed forces are responding fearlessly. No new border changes have been recorded in the region so far. Let's also look at the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Ivanivsky, Terny, Nevelsky, and Makiivka. In contrast, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted Dibrovo and Kermina. Now let's continue with the latest developments on the Bakhmut front line. According to the latest reports, on the Bakhmut front line, units of the Ukrainian armed forces have launched an offensive against the Russian troops who have launched attacks on the hills northwest of Klishchiivka. The goal of the Ukrainian army was to seize several previously lost positions and block the Russian offensive. As a result, the Ukrainian army achieved this goal. Several positions previously captured by the Russian troops were liberated. The Russian army's attacks on the region also lost momentum. However, the Russian armed forces continued offensive operations near Ivanivsky. We believe that it would be useful for the Ukrainian army to carry out an offensive here as well. There were also counter-clashes in the Bogdanivka region. We observed that the Ukrainian troops are more active here compared to the past days. So far, no new border changes have been recorded in this region. Let us continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Ivanivsky, Kasovyar, and Bogdanivka. Ukrainian troops, on the other hand, have concentrated their attacks on the attacking Russian troops. Let's continue with the latest developments on the Donetsk front line. According to the latest reports from Russian sources, the Russian armed forces have seriously pushed the Ukrainian armed forces to the northeast of the Novomikhailivka. However, they still could not publish any visual confirmation on this issue. Therefore, our source in the region report that this claim by the Russian sources is propaganda. The Ukrainian garrison in the settlement has actually surrendered on 3 sides but not retreating. Ukrainian resistance is still quite strong. So far, there are no new military gains in this region. We also see that the Russian armed forces continue to attempt to advance near Gorogorivka, Nevelskoye, and Permovskoye. Heavy fighting continues on the southeastern outskirts of Avdiivka. Here too, Ukrainian forces managed to recapture about 10% of the area controlled by the Russian army. The situation is similar near Stepnoe. The borderline is stable except for the recent changes in Avdiivka. Let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, there were intense clashes between artillery units of the Russian armed forces and artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces, especially in the vicinity of Avdiivka. Apart from this, we see that the artillery in the region is calm. Let's continue with the latest developments in the Vuhledar section of the Zaporizhia front line. As we know, this area has been active for a long time. According to reports, Russian troops have abandoned the idea of changing strategy. The Russian army, which previously constantly targeted Yorkhain and Stromoyorsk, changed this strategy. According to the recent reports, this decision has been abandoned. According to reports, the Russian army is currently working on Stromoyorsk and Yorkhain again. Intensive efforts still not yield any results, and the Ukrainian army is still holding strong in its positions. On the other hand, we see a movement in the direction of Priyodny, but this mobility is shaped in the form of counter-clashes. So far, we don't see a border change here. Let's look at the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted units of the Ukrainian armed forces stations in Priyodny, Stromoyorsk, Yorkhain, and Vuhledar. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted Starmikhailivka, Zavidny Bazhania, and Viliadny, and in Ramivka. Now let's move on to the Robotin sector of the Zaporizhia front line. According to the latest reports, in the Robotin sector of the Zaporizhia front line, the fighting in the area west of the village has again taken on the antagonistic character. The struggle for initiative continues unabated. Although both sides are tired, Ukrainian troops are still in an advantageous position as they have been conducting a successful defense for a long time because they are not too much worn out. In addition, the Ukrainian armed forces managed to advance a little to the northwest of Verbov. According to reports, the Russian troops there suffered heavy losses and were forced to retreat. The Russian armed forces launched their offensives from the direction of Novofedoryovka. Russian artillery was quite active here. Despite this, the Russian army failed to advance here as well. Let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Russian troops stations in Robotin, Vasiliivka, Malaya-Tokmakcha, and Orikhiv. On the other hand, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces hit Ichenkov, Kopani, Verbov, Novoprokopivka, and Novopokrovka. Now, what do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will be able to take an offensive position again? What do you think about the losses of the Russian troops? What do you think about the latest situation in Avdiivka? Let me know in the comments, because I read and I care about all your comments.